Recently, Germany has been making a series of high-stakes diplomatic moves that suggest a fundamental shift in its global strategy. By maintaining intense high-level dialogues in Beijing while simultaneously securing urgent trade commitments in Washington, Berlin is signaling that it is moving far beyond traditional diplomacy. This dual-track approach is not just a routine political choice, but a direct response to the immense economic pressures now threatening the very core of the German industrial model. As the nation navigates a landscape of rising energy costs and shifting global alliances, these strategic maneuvers are reshaping how Europe's largest economy interacts with the world's two superpowers. The significance of this shift is clearly reflected in the latest trade data and official government reports coming out of Berlin. Leading economic institutes and global financial analysts have observed that Germany can no longer rely on its previous assumptions of stable, low-cost growth. Instead, the government is prioritizing a strategic pivot to secure new market access and protect its critical manufacturing sectors from looming tariff threats. This necessity is why we see such a rapid intensification of diplomatic activity as Germany attempts to balance its massive trade interests in China with its essential security ties to the United States. For the global market, Germany's success in this delicate balancing act will determine the stability of European trade for years to come. But to truly understand why Germany is now forced to recalibrate its foreign policy with such urgency, we must first look back at the specific economic model that once drove its rise, and the evolving process that has led it to this critical turning point. For decades, the German economy functioned like a perfectly synchronized machine, consistently ranking as one of the top 3 global powers. The heart of this success was a unique manufacturing powerhouse, built on a foundation of highly skilled labor and a relentless focus on precision engineering. During this golden era, Germany benefited from an exceptionally stable environment that allowed its industrial sectors to flourish without interruption. At the core of this model was a reliable supply of low-cost energy, which provided the immense power needed to fuel the factories of the Rhine and Ruhr valleys. Furthermore, a predictable and open global trade system meant that German machines and automobiles could reach every corner of the world with minimal friction. This combination of internal efficiency and external stability transformed the German model into the absolute gold standard for the entire European economy. It was a period when the label "Made in Germany" represented more than just quality, as it served as the primary engine for continental growth and prosperity. However, even as the nation enjoyed this remarkable success, the global landscape began to shift in ways that few could have anticipated. The system, which had operated so reliably for decades, eventually faced unprecedented challenges as Germany began to encounter structural cracks that had formed both at home and abroad. The most immediate and painful shock came from a sharp geopolitical rupture that fundamentally altered the nation's energy security. For many years, the backbone of German heavy industry was a steady and predictable flow of affordable natural gas imported from Russia. This low-cost energy allowed German factories to maintain a global competitive edge, but the conflict between Russia and Ukraine abruptly ended that entire economic arrangement. As energy prices surged to historic levels almost overnight, the once invincible manufacturing sector found itself struggling with production costs that threatened its very existence. Yet, this external energy crisis acted as a catalyst that laid bare the deeper and more persistent internal flaws that had been quietly accumulating for a long time. Decades of underinvestment had left Germany with an aging physical infrastructure, where crumbling bridges and a strained railway network began to slow down the efficient movement of goods. Even in the digital realm, the lack of a modern high-speed network created a significant bottleneck for businesses trying to keep pace with a rapidly evolving global market. This internal stagnation was further compounded by a noticeable delay in securing a leading position within the industries of the future. While German engineering remained superior in traditional mechanical sectors, it began to lose ground to aggressive competitors in the critical fields of artificial intelligence and electric mobility. As these complex crisis signals appeared simultaneously, Germany finally faced a harsh economic reality defined by external shocks and internal decay. So, to escape this deepening economic crisis and secure its survival, the government began to execute a series of desperate strategic maneuvers. At the heart of this response is a complex diplomatic balancing act designed to protect Germany's trade interests in a fragmented global landscape. Berlin is now pursuing a policy of strategic autonomy, which involves maintaining deep economic ties with China while simultaneously strengthening its security and industrial cooperation with the United States. By managing this delicate balance, Germany hopes to safeguard its massive industrial assets and market share within China while mitigating the risks of potential trade barriers and geopolitical pressure from Washington. This high-stakes diplomacy is being matched by an equally ambitious set of internal reforms aimed at rebuilding the nation's crumbling industrial foundations. The government also has committed significant financial resources to a massive infrastructure modernization package, prioritizing the urgent repair of the aging bridges and railway networks that have long hindered the efficient flow of goods. And to overcome the slow pace of innovation, a nationwide push for digital administration is underway, seeking to cut through layers of old bureaucracy and create a more agile environment for the technology sector. Furthermore, Germany is aggressively diversifying its energy supply chains to move away from past dependencies, investing heavily in new liquid natural gas terminals and green hydrogen projects to power its heavy industries of the future. These combined efforts represent a total commitment to restructuring the national economy, but the path ahead is far from guaranteed. This ambitious attempt inevitably creates new diplomatic risks and places a heavy burden on Germany's financial and social structures. The most daunting challenge lies in the increasingly volatile geopolitical arena, where the pressure to choose sides between the United States and China has reached a critical level. While Berlin strives for strategic autonomy, it finds itself squeezed by Washington's demands for stricter export controls and Beijing's subtle warnings about economic retaliation against German automakers. This friction extends even within the European Union, as Germany's unilateral pursuit of national interest occasionally clashes with the collective goals of its neighbors, sparking debates over fairness and solidarity. Moreover, domestically, the situation is equally strained because the massive capital required for infrastructure and energy transition is colliding head-on with the nation's strict debt brake. Germany has long maintained strict fiscal rules within its constitution to ensure economic stability, but this has now created a paradox. While the government must invest billions to remain competitive, these very constitutional limits effectively block the borrowing needed to fund those investments. And also, beyond the financial numbers, a more deep-rooted structural crisis is emerging in the form of a chronic labor shortage fueled by a rapidly aging population. This demographic shift means that even with modern factories and green energy, Germany may lack the skilled hands needed to operate the very machines that once defined its success. Furthermore, the sheer speed of these transformations has outpaced social consensus, leading to growing resistance from labor unions and communities that feel left behind by the sudden shift in industrial priorities. Despite these extensive efforts toward national reconstruction, Germany continues to collide with relentless external pressures and deep-seated structural barriers. In the face of such a high-stakes struggle between ambitious reform and these mounting limitations, what path will Germany's future ultimately take? The answer depends on whether the nation can successfully pivot from its glorious industrial past to a more resilient and tech-driven future. If these reforms take root, Germany will likely emerge as a leader in the next industrial era, leveraging its unmatched engineering heritage to dominate the global market for high-value, sustainable manufacturing. Because the true strength of Germany lies in its hidden champions, which are thousands of specialized companies that produce precision components no other country can replicate. By integrating its legendary craftsmanship with advanced digital intelligence, Berlin could once again redefine the global standards for industrial quality and efficiency. Such a successful transition would allow Germany to reclaim its strategic autonomy, serving as an indispensable economic bridge between the East and the West, and offering a vital blueprint for other manufacturing nations. However, if political gridlock and structural inertia continue to stall these vital changes, Germany risks a long period of stagnation, losing the very influence that once defined the European economy. Such a decline would serve as a harsh warning that the old formulas for success are no longer valid in an era of permanent crisis. The German economy is currently in the process of defining itself anew, moving far beyond a simple recovery to ensure its survival. Now is the time to pay close attention to the message their strategic choices will send to manufacturing nations across the globe.